So they're all positive. There we go. Okay, so here's to that question. So we're starting off in long-run equilibrium, the place we always go without government intervention. The economy falls into a demand-led recession. AD drops because of lower investment or consumption, like in the question, and the price level drops. That you need to write in there. You need to show that and write in there. Again, there'll be a lot more room than is available here. Does current Fed policy allow this? Why? What's happening that would not take place? Yeah, deflation, right? So number one, this model wouldn't work with the Fed as it is right now. So get the Fed out of the way. Let the economy roll as it should roll from their perspective. And so if you don't have the Fed in the way, you might want to note that if the Fed's not stimulating the economy, then the price level will drop. And people will become aware of what? Price level drops. We all have a higher standard of living. And we're aware of that. We're all going to the store. We're all gathering that information. We're all rational enough to go, oh, it appears today that all prices have gone down and I'm now richer. If there's a recession, how's your boss and your company doing? How's your boss stress level? Pretty high. And if you were really, old school and the boss was old school and the boss took care of you because you're part of the family and the boss comes to you and says, hey, listen, we're struggling. I'm going to have to maybe lay some people up. And by the way, you're a family too, right? You're coworkers and you enjoy each other's company. Talking old school business. And I say, hey, I need to lay off 10% of you, or I need to give you all a 10% cut in your wages. Old school thinking, what will you do? To take a cut. Now, remember, what don't they like that we have? Union laws. Well, what safety net, right? Subsidy in the form of safety net, which is unemployment insurance, welfare, TANF, temporary need for needy families, food stamps, SSI, disability, right? All of those things. Okay, now let's go to the modern day. I'm your boss. You don't really like me. I don't treat you very well. And you have all those government programs to back you up. Hey, things are really rough. I'm going to either lay a bunch of you off or take a pay cut. Will you all please take a pay cut? You say, no, why? Not because I'm a jerk. But why? Yeah, because I could file for unemployment and I could get 2/3 of my highest wages in the previous 6 months for up to 2 years. In economic crises, the federal government sends money to the states so you can stay on fun employment. Right? We call it for that reason call it that for a reason. In that, the government's basically incenting you not to take pay cuts, right? And the Fed's keeping us from having deflation. So what do? The employers are struggling, they ask you to take a pay cut. Given that your standard of living has risen, you take a pay cut, right? Something down there around that. And think about what a pay cut means to AS. I wish there was a politician who actually says these things. None of our current Republican candidates are this conservative. I don't believe Trump has talked about getting rid of the safety net. Have you? I haven't heard it. Why? Yeah, you're not going to get elected saying I'm going to get rid of all these things, right? But if you're a true conservative, I would love to see a true conservative. No offense to Trump or DeSantis or Haley or Christie or whoever's left, right? But none of them are really preaching the true conservative, which is get rid of the government safety net, Fed, get out of the way, and let's have a self-adjusting economy. Conservatives? Any here? And even the Republican Party isn't as conservative as it really should. Did I just say should? I would like to see choice, right? All across the way. Let's have a Marxist candidate. Let's have a fully conservative candidate. Let the chips fall where they may. And so workers take that lower wage. What is that lower wage? Lower input costs. So what happens? AF shifts back out. And now what's taking place? In the long run, where are we back to? Back to full employment. But furthermore, notice price levels dropped. Meaning, even if you did take that pay cut, now the price levels drop even further. So your standard of living is probably at least recovered to where it was before. Here's a moderate to liberal person trying to convince you this is the best way to go. I'm doing my best right here. What a wonderful thing. And then the problem is that we won't do this because what do we rely upon? So now I'm going to the second part of that question. Given current policies, why does this adjustment not take place? What do neoclassicalists blame for this lack of adjustment? And how would they like to restructure society for this to take place? Well, it doesn't happen because the government offers unemployment insurance, supplemental, what's SNAP? Food stamps. SSI is disability. TANF is welfare. We have to list all of those. Give me an idea of the social safety net. I think an important one, a really important one, is unemployment insurance. Right? That's the main reason why you're not going to take this pay cut, because you know you're going to get 2/3 of your highest salary for up to 2 years. Let me just say for your edification, just so you know, you pay into unemployment insurance. If you work, you've seen it. You've seen that deduction. In normal times, you only get what you paid into it. So don't be ashamed to take it. Right? If you're a true conservative who doesn't want to live off the government. More about the government, but hold on a second. Let me just finish this kind of anecdote, this reality check. So don't feel bad taking it. Now, what have I said when there's a bad economic time? What does Congress do? How long do they extend it for? Remember what I called it? Fun employment? 2 years. So that doesn't come from the state. In bad economic times, your Congress people and president will say, okay, we're going to send money to the state to then keep people on unemployment for up to 2 years until this recession is over. That's when, if you're a true conservative wanting to only use your money, you go, nope, I didn't pay in for that. Are any of you true conservatives in that way where you're not going to take more money than you put in? Rhetorical question. I'm not asking for an answer there. So also pro-union law. So all of these things keep people from taking wage cuts because they know the government will support them if their company goes out of business. And unions and the laws that protect unions aren't going to accept pay cuts in any circumstance. I've never heard of a union negotiating pay cuts. It's the antithesis, exact opposite of what labor unions are there for their workers, to always have an increase in their pay. Who's sold? Who wants to live in this world? No government involvement. I think would people not work harder, be more conscientious at work, try to really build relationships and not just care about their job, but how their job and everyone else's job is helping the company? Would this be a better society? I'm doing my best to push this, right? I could see a lot more care about your boss, your work, each other, if this was the case. I could see also this, that right now, and maybe I've mentioned this phrase I like to say, is that a lot of us have outsourced compassion to the government. We drive by a person struggling. Do you all stop and offer them money? I generally don't. Sometimes when somebody's at Safeway with a sign up, I'll hand $1 if it's convenient to me. Why? Why do we allow that? Because the government takes care of them. But in the old days, before the Great Depression, the only place you would get help is from your community. Communities used to have things called almshouses or poorhouses, not the poorhouse on Easton and Cohasset. That's spelled O-U-R. Poor O-O-R. It's church groups and communities of taking care of their own. Who wants to live in that world? I kind of do. Even though I'm a little bit liberal, I like the idea of communities helping each other instead of all of us just putting blinders on and ignoring the homeless, ignoring people, right? Instead of helping one another. That's what this is talking about, right? Going back to an earlier time. So I hope even liberals are like hearing this and thinking about this a little bit. Well, that's that question. All right. Any questions about that question? Yeah, sure. The government and the Fed for not allowing deflation and then also not allowing the backwards here. And then making it such that people won't take pay cuts. Any questions, Helen?
No, I was just gonna clarify that, like, with the other example of the other possible, like, one of the justifications is saying, like, wage increases won't necessarily happen because we don't have unions, like, I got to use that as kind of a.
Yeah, I would love if you include that detail
I'm
because.
just making sure that's the parallel with how that was.
Well, so what I'm doing is I'm pointing out an inconsistency in the model of government spending, creating inflation. Yes, it creates inflation, but then they're saying that people will ask for and get wage increases. And my editorial is, how does that happen in the world they want without unions?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.